Having that level of care is just so important because the team around you can feel it. Hello and welcome back to the She Leads the Way podcast. I'm your host, Nicki Bedford, and today we're going to be talking about what makes a great leader, as well as 5 qualities that every exceptional leader should possess. Who in your life comes to mind when you think of a really good leader or a really great role model? Like, what qualities did they possess? What did you admire about them? I'm going to share a quote from John C. Maxwell. He's a legend within the leadership space. He's been in leadership for many, many years as an expert. He's got a best-selling novel. But he said, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. I'm sure if you think about some of the bosses that you've had in the past, some would stand out to you as being really, really great. Maybe they were incredibly supportive of you and your career trajectory. Maybe they helped coach and develop you. Maybe you just felt heard and you knew what difference you were making within the company. Respect is the key determinant of high-performance leadership. The amount that people respect you determines how well they perform. You may have also had some not great leaders in the past. Maybe they weren't effective communicators. Maybe you never felt in the loop of what was going on in the company. Maybe they were creating an intimidating work environment. Or maybe they just didn't seem to care that much. I've certainly experienced my fair share of great and not so great leaders, which I'm very grateful for now, as I've been able to witness firsthand the impact that a great leader has on the company, the team's morale, and then firsthand the effect that a not so great leader has on the team's morale and the bottom line. It is such an honor to be a leader within a company. You have such a huge responsibility of empowering a team and making sure that they're firing, communicating the vision effectively, driving results. So it's important that working hard on these areas is something that you want to do. Your behaviors have a direct impact on people. If I think about the leaders that I've had in the past, a few in particular stand out. In fact, one of the first leaders that I've ever had is someone that I remember to this day because of how much they helped me. Not only from a work perspective, but actually personally as well. I was in one of my first corporate jobs, 18 years old, and I'd actually just finished traveling overseas with a friend. And by the time I came back, my family had actually left to live in England, which I wasn't joining them. And so I needed to find a place to live. When I was working at this company, I needed to look for apartments, and it was a little overwhelming. I remember at the time feeling a little overwhelmed. And my boss came with me to 2 apartment viewings to help me negotiate the weekly rent and to make sure that I was comfortable in what I was doing. This memory for me stands out so clearly because I thought how lucky I am to be cared for and valued. But as a result, I absolutely put in the work because I respected this leader. I respected this leader so much, and I just wanted to impress and make sure that I was doing the right thing by them and the company. Another example is actually one of the best leaders that I've ever had in my whole life. I'm very fortunate that my dad has been there with me. I mean, throughout my life naturally, but also side by side with me throughout my corporate career. My dad has a corporate background himself. And so I remember always taking all of my problems, challenges, feedback, advice. I would go straight to him and he would always be straight down the line with the feedback that he was giving me, which was just so incredibly useful. Sometimes he was a little ruthless with his feedback, but I can see now that it was coming from the best place. He always gave me the thoughts around backing myself and being fearless and always knowing that I had a seat at the table. But beyond that, he also instilled leadership qualities like thinking ahead, planning ahead. So forward planning for me has always been a very big part of what I do as a leader. And he also gave me constant feedback and methods in how I would improve. Little things like I would call him about problems that I was having or situations, and he would always be like, let that go. It doesn't matter. There are bigger things to worry about. It won't matter. And it was just nice to have that sounding board. It's really nice having someone in your corner who is completely unbiased. So I feel forever grateful. And I know I spoke in the past tense, but he's still someone that I speak to now. And I get a lot of my advice from him to this day. So thanks, Dad. Love you. When I think about when I first moved into leadership, one of the mistakes that I had actually made was thinking that everyone's just going to be as passionate or as excited as you are. So I moved into this role and I thought, okay, boom, 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 let's do this. Like, we are armed, we're ready. And what I found fairly quickly was actually, it wasn't the case, but it was my responsibility to ensure that things had been, the vision had been communicated clearly, and to empower the team to fire and to be excited to come in and to understand exactly what success looked like. So it's my responsibility to make sure the team is on the same page. There is nothing that makes me happier as a leader than when my team is passionate about what they're doing. They're, learning along the way, driving serious results, but we're also having a lot of fun. That's when I know that I'm doing a good job. So now we'll talk about 5 qualities every exceptional leader should possess. Number 1, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, in my opinion, is one of the most critical skills that a leader can have. It's the ability to recognize and manage emotions. People are naturally attracted to leaders who are empathetic, perceptive, self-aware, and willing to take responsibility for their actions. Emotional intelligence sort of encompasses 3 key areas. One of them is self-awareness. So you recognize your emotions and the impact that your emotions are having. The second one is empathy. So being able to understand your team, what's going on with your team, and what's going on with your team beyond just work life. So what are the factors that are impacting your team? Like, what's going on in their world beyond just work? And thirdly, social skills, which means you're good at conveying your thoughts and ideas, and you have the ability to find common ground. The second, which is so important, and that is that you are a good communicator. Effective leadership and effective communication are intertwined. The best leaders are skilled communicators, which means there is no misunderstanding. And sort of communication, if you think about it, runs into absolutely everything that you do as a leader, including, I've got 4 key areas. So first is the vision. So being able to clearly articulate what is the vision of the company and why is it important? What does success look like? So being able to communicate this really effectively so that every single person on the team knows what are the broader goals. So it's essentially getting a really clear picture of the bigger picture. The team knows exactly what success looks like. You know what success looks like, and everyone knows exactly what they need to do in order to get there. The second is setting direction. So now we know exactly what the vision is. We know exactly what success looks like. How are we going to get there? So we need to take a look at where are we now? And then we take a look at what do we need to do in order to get to the end goal? What is the vision for the company? How are we going to get there? So this is about planning. This is about planning step by step the process. And it's also important to include the team as part of this planning so that they feel like they've been a part of the process from the very beginning. This is very important. But by creating a clear vision and then setting direction so that you know exactly what it is that you need to do in order to achieve those goals, making sure that that's crystal clear is paramount, because you need to ensure that the team know exactly what success looks like. 3 is giving constant feedback. So feedback is the cornerstone of professional growth. The ability to give really clear and concise feedback is really important so that you know that your team is able to develop in their career, they're able to grow. And it's also important to note that when we're talking feedback, it's not just negative feedback, it's also positive feedback. And you want to try and balance that. It's so important that if you recognize your team doing a good job in certain areas, let them know. Being able to recognize as well as give feedback on areas that they need to grow will help them feel really safe when you're looking to have those discussions together. You want to make sure the environment where feedback is given is a safe space. You're also not only looking to give feedback, but you want to receive that. Good leaders will accept feedback so that they know, firstly, are there any areas that they could improve themselves? And what are the areas that they can further support their team? Being able to have these open discussions is really important. I find also a way that you can get more out of your team is by just having a simple conversation. Sometimes You might have some feedback that you want to give your team. Maybe it's more negative feedback, but by simply opening up the dialogue, allowing them to give you their thoughts first is a really great way to build out that trust and a safe space. And then once feedback is given, positive, negative, if it is, how can they further develop? It's also about ensuring that you're following through on that. So making sure that, okay, when feedback is given, what are the steps that they need to take in order to improve, and how can you help them as a leader? It's not just about saying, okay, well, this is what we've noticed, this is what we've observed. It's about getting really crystal clear so that both of you know exactly how you can support each other in driving that growth. And it's also about giving praise. Praise is incredibly important. Praise for good work, praise for, doing a great job, praise for good collaboration. And 4 is coaching and developing your team members. Everyone has a slice of genius that they bring to the team. It's about understanding what skills your team possess, but it's also about what areas do they want to flourish? What areas do they want to move into? So by having this open dialogue, you can get really clear about what it is they want to do and what areas they want to improve. And then it's building out that development plan. Coaching and developing it's also not only about the hard skills within the organization, but it can also be about ways that they can help boost their self-confidence. It could be about putting them forward for awards. It could be about doing keynote presentations. It's really about finding ways that will help keep them motivated within their role and also help them develop themselves within the team. So once you have those, commit to these plans and make sure that you're referencing them in every meeting that you have together. The next is having a positive attitude. Leaders are so passionate, it's infectious. And it doesn't mean you have to be bouncing off the walls and, throwing out fireworks every day. It's just about making sure that everything that you're discussing is discussed in a really hopeful way. It's discussed with a very positive lens. It's the energy that you're bringing to the team. It's your supportive nature. And yes, being hopeful in your thoughts and actions is incredibly important. It also keeps morale high. It increases productivity. And it's also the belief in your leader that keeps you going. If you see a leader that's super positive, you know that you're in good hands because they know what they're doing. They're positive about it. They have a really good outlook. Have you ever had a leader that was a bit meh in their approach? Like they just were a bit meh. If you are a leader and you're noticeably meh all the time, then it gives permission for your team to be meh and give a meh performance. It also ensures that they're not super motivated because there's just so much meh. The next is lead by example. If you are leading and no one is following, and then you're simply just taking a walk when times are tough or you're under tight deadlines and the team is going through it, maybe you're slightly understaffed, it's really important to come into the trenches and show your team firsthand the sort of commitment that you have with them and demonstrate firsthand your commitment to the team's success. It's also about having the courage to take risks, making decisions when you're not necessarily sure of the outcome. So if you're not leading by example, then you're not leading at all. And authenticity. Great leadership starts with self-leadership, knowing your values and being true to yourself. Be yourself, telling it the way it is. Being a leader is not a popularity contest. It's about doing what's right, not what's easy. And it's really important that when you say that you're going to do something, do what you say you're going to do, as that builds trust within the team as well. Being an authentic leader opens up to you just being yourself. By being yourself, your team will feel more comfortable around you and they would trust you. And when they trust you, they will respect you. And then lastly, which is a little bit of a bonus one, when a leader cares. When a leader cares about its people, about its organization, about the plans that they're implementing. Having that level of care is just so important because the team around you can feel it. People know when a leader cares about them, when a leader is just so passionate about what the goals are and they're so passionate about how to get there. It's really very empowering and it allows for a much higher success rate given all of that enthusiasm. But just caring should be an absolute minimum requirement. So I hope these tips were helpful. I think if there was any takeaway, it would be the leader that you would want to follow yourself. Let me know if you've had any experiences with leaders that you'd love to share where it's helped you grow within your career. And I will speak to you next time. Bye.